That's why many of them just try to psychologically torture you. And if you kill the person that you're torturing and it wasn't demanded by the higher ups for that person to die, then you might find yourself dead along with the person you just finished torturing, because it wasn't they wanted him for other reasons, or the person for other reasons, and they didn't want the person dead, just information abstracted, or whatever the objective is. The greater the torture that one can get, it doesn't always work, depending on the individual and the structure, the energy, etc., who they are. People who are truly positive have a great deal of power and energy. Some people tell you, no, they don't have power. All of us have power. The question is, do you know where it is, how it comes from, and how it works? So, within... So people truly positive have a great deal of power and energy within them, as there are many records have shown them. Some people could take a beating like you couldn't believe up to the last minute, and they'll be like, no, I don't agree with that. Don't think they haven't tried. People are trying to kill people all willy-nilly, but there's certain rules that must be abided for different objectives. The Spanish Inquisition was a good... lesson out of this, because they was killing Jews, Muslims, and Christians by the Romans, and they all suffered willingly. The way it works is when you reach a plateau of fear, pain, and suffering, and long suffering, your positive beliefs, if you're following that guide, will attain strength, power, and even euphoria while you're torturing them, which is totally self-defeating. So now, because they've reached a plateau, you can only hurt and torture people but so much, where they'll be like, okay, what, you gonna hurt me again after what you all did? That's like slapping somebody that's been punched in the face for 10 years, and here comes somebody and slaps them. That's like a tickle. But so then the only conclusion is to kill them. And then if you kill, you can't kill everybody willy-nilly, because there's underlying rules and regulations to everything. And if you kill the wrong person at the wrong time, even if you felt like he was in power, there's things that could pop up and show you, oh, well, you're not really had or ever had as much power as you thought you had, because of these underlying energies that have their objectives, and you break that objective, then you were not only gonna die, but they're gonna torture you in ways you didn't even thought possible. That even your death is not enough, that they would come and get your body out of the grave in order just to beat you down some more. So don't think because you hold a great title, or you're in some kind of higher echelons of power, that you are untouchable, because it's only a matter of time of how much you're building that's going to come back to you, because there's always a price to pay, and you were never the one on top unless you were following the structure of freedom. So you got to understand the outcome of any and every situation is based on who you are, your objective, your power, your cunning, your imagination, and these objectives can be guided by their energy, or what energy you're following, and what are the objectives through time that is needed to obtain this overall understanding, so we may either learn and grow or all die collectively or as individuals. Power and strength can be yours or someone else's. Cunning can be yours or someone else's. And that's really important, especially for those who follow the way. People from the beginning of time have been using these tactics against one another, such as race, like Italians against the Germans, or the Germans against the French, or whatever, this person, that tribe versus that tribe, and this religion versus that race versus that religion, or they belittle one religion to provoke them into a fight so they can kill them. And it should take so they can take place of this contradiction of negative sharing for a negative objective, to get someone to, if they're calling you a certain name, you may want to reflect that name to them, and finding solutions that are continuing this negative cycle, or finding a solution that doesn't continue that negative cycle. Understanding how some individuals will claim a racial name, like the N-word, using that negative word to defy yourself. Not only does this keep reminding you of the past, but these individuals and Christians who are using these, like the N-words, are continuing to relive and belittle themselves. Realize when it comes to enemies, it's not a black thing, it's not a white thing, it's not a nationality thing, it's not a religious thing, but it is a positive and negative thing. Just because someone is of your same race or same religion doesn't mean that they are for you or for the same race nor religion that you are in, but an objective of negative or positive, and a construct of who they are, and is revealed over time and through keeping track. Negative people like provoking others to instill fights, yet many times they'll act like they're going to fight, and they get other people to fight, but in the end, when the war is happening, they're nowhere around. They seem to survive all the wars. Meanwhile, all the people they led to fight the wars, they all died. Now, some people act like they're going to go into it, but at the majority of the time, they have other people to do it. They might go in it once or twice, just so people can see them and say, "Oh, he's with us. You see, he's ready to fight with us." But most of the time, he's just orchestrating and sending you out there, send your children out, but not their children out to wars. Negative people use these setups in order to control and to use the information about you in order to do so, as where you're going to be, what you're going to plan, what are you going to say, what you have seen, said, or done, who are your friends, who are your enemies, and what are your likes and dislikes. And they use these all traps, such as an abortions, or inconsiderate neighbors, coinciding for another person who is an irresponsible person, crime, sex, having children with people who really ought not to be parents because they abandon them or abuse them. Again, death and destruction follows. Escapism. Escapism is nothing more when problems appear, one chooses to go into a negative, abusive activity, which in reality is a diversion of solution, which is a self-defeating distraction to a problem. And some of these distractions can be sex, drugs, work, crime, and overeating. Of course, it depends on the person's construct as to what one would choose as an escape. It is of no great mystery that people working together can get a lot more done than working against one another. But yet people are still easily divided and conquered. As in abortions, there are people who are against abortions and people who are for abortions. Can take either side on this topic, because there are other choices. Now, if a 9-month pregnant woman were in a motor vehicle accident and her organs was destroyed in the process, the logical solution is to abort the baby before the mother and the child both die. Or if a woman had a miscarriage, you would then abort the child. Therefore, the abortion was not wrong because the motive was done out of love in order to support and save the mother or the child. But many people are taught to look at what isn't the problem or the illogical solution, so the problems can continue. Instead, an announce or prevention of a solution that would have helped in that particular accident. So again, we're back to continue to maintain the problems, wrong solutions, wrong choices. And therefore, people are using whatever this illogical structure of neglect or apathy in order to either get a woman pregnant or for a woman to kill a child. Or there are many problems that a woman could be afraid of her parents, or she could be afraid of not finishing school, or the motive behind the abortion, it's usually fear. Some people do it for greed. They use the abortionist in order to abort the child so they can use that child as a form of human sacrifice so they can make money. People do a lot of weird things, and some people can just tell you, "Oh, that's not real. That's not real. That's not true." Are you telling me that people don't human sacrifice? Are you telling me that people don't kill? That they don't have these sacrifices, or they don't sell their souls, or they don't continue on this negative mind of entity and destruction and death? That's exactly what's going on. But people try to say that that's not true. But when you go and search it out, they don't want you to see what's behind the curtain. That's why all the secrecy and the secret oaths, and they want to continue this fear. And some people do it on a grand scale. So it's an ignorance of truth. The real problem also, too, is that there's rape or incest, not using prophylactics, and early teenage pregnancies, and sometimes it's people believing that the abortion is the best of first choice, as opposed to any other alternatives, which chooses life. If a pro-abortion and the anti-abortionists were to work together as hard as they work apart and fighting one another that instigates abortion, the abortion rate would be totally lower. First of all, understanding that the woman's health is required, and that also means sex, prophylactics, and understanding the difference between sex and love, and not putting people in a situation where they're so desperate for money because they're so poor and so in pain, they're willing to do anything, including selling their souls and killing their children, or even suicide. But sadly enough, abortions are emotional, mental traps that destroy the women's. Even if they had multiple abortions or one abortion. Again, some of them have multiple abortions because they're doing this as a form of human sacrifice. Or they're using it as a form of contraception. So they'll have sex all willy-nilly and then pay to have an abortion, just so they can do it all over again. And it's just regurgitating the same problem, as opposed to finding a true solution in which will help heal the woman and her body and her mentality. and love and separate and understand and differentiate between sex and love and joy and pain. Now, if you have a person who's had an abortion and feels that it's important for them to forgive themselves and to live a life that's conducive to love, and to, if they happen to get pregnant by the person that they do love, or use prophylactics and not become pregnant by him and her, and using different types of prophylactics. And you can get the woman to heal and get the men to heal, because there's a lot of men that want their babies, but the women have said, no, I'm going to kill this baby. And you can fight and go to court. That's just more confusing. And it was sad. It makes you want to cry. And some women will just do it anyway, and then wait for the court decision to say whatever. And the sad truth is that when a woman does have a baby and gives it up, they always want to see how it turned out, where to go, what's going on, and if there's anything now they like to get back into their lives. Because most of these girls that do this are young, they have no understanding, and they're being led by a lot of people who would love to see you suffer. So they say, we fight for abortions. But the truth is they're not going to abort their baby. They want you to abort your baby for certain objectives and make you suffer. And regardless, the end conclusion is always death. Then there are those who had multiple abortions and feel no remorse. Now, it's not my job to judge you, but you know there are people who commit murders as well and have no remorse. And just because they have no remorse doesn't make it right to have done what they had done, because there's only a matter of time before all that stuff that they sowed is going to come back to them, because what you send out is going to come right back to you. If you doubt that, that's your choice. But then you're being illogical, because whatever goes on, you'll be like, oh, that wasn't because I did this. That just, everything is coincidence. Nothing really matters. There's no truth. And there's no truth. They say there's no truth, or they say there's their truth, which means that they're changing a lies to right. The lies are the truth and the truth are the lies. So they're saying there's no truth from an illogical source. You can't have a logical outcome from a illogical source. So if the person is confused, there's not going to be anything logical about them. Therefore, the end conclusion is being illogical. Death, all the negatives, they're all formulated in some sort of relative cohesiveness within them, and they're all related to one another, and knowing where you're going and who you are and why you're here. And these are the things that are important that would come to show you why your beliefs is creating this confusion and fear within you, because you can't have love if you have all this this hate within you. It's illogical for them to abide in the same location, because they're totally two different structures. So your ability can give you the ability to say to yourself or deceive yourself, but then you may also come about having more problems within your communication with others, and then going into a spiral of escapism, because sooner or later you're going to have to be still and confront your actions and the end conclusions and the end destiny that you're going to. So all that stuff you're doing is going to come to a point in your life. So it behooves you to not let others persuade you into believing into this destructive behavior, whether it's by the media or politics politics or bribery, greed, or whatever into this negative form of being. It is beyond me how people still continue to get drunk and drive, or any form of ignorance and serious escapism. It's like